Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is Hello Inflation, Prophecy is Fulfilling. Now, before we get into it, it's real important you listen up on this today. And with the things I'm about to tell you, you're going to understand why. So let me just blatantly put it this way. First of all, I cannot give you financial advice, okay? Can't do it. But if you were my mother, I would say, Mom, if you have money in a stock market, some kind of paper, or 401k, IRA, if it's in paper, if it's not in precious metals, I think I'm safe to say it's very risky. With the things I'm about to tell you today, if you believe anything that I'm saying, with the things I'm about to tell you today, it's very important that you call 800-200 gold if you don't want to lose your life savings, because one of the prophecies says that the banks are about to hold all our money, just seize it. And that kind of fits with a lot of other prophecies too. Again, if you don't want to lose it, 800-200 gold. Again, I can't give financial advice, but that's what I would tell my mom. Okay, now here's why I say that. First of all, don't look at the surface, look underneath. Don't look at the present. Ask yourself where we're going 6 months, 12 months, 18, 24 months down the road. Headline, Trump says tariff pain will be worth the price. So he is openly saying that these tariffs are going to cause inflation. Now, okay, if you got to pay 25% more to buy that car or to buy that head of lettuce or eggs or whatever it is, then that's 25% inflation. And yeah, that 25% goes to America as opposed to the IRS money that doesn't. But it's when we're charging 25% to Canada, Mexico, and additional 10% to China, at the end of the day, hopefully it's going to be good. That's what the article's about to say. But in the next few months, we're about to see some pain. And there should be no question that we're about to see it. Here's what he says. President Donald Trump said on Sunday, the sweeping tariffs that he has imposed on Mexico, Canada, and China will cause. Now, I understand why he's doing it. I'm not beating up on Trump. I like Trump. But to correct all of the mistakes that the bad people have made over the last 50 years, there's going to be some pain. Just how painful? Well, apparently the prophecies say pretty painful. I'll show you. China may cause some pain for Americans, as well as Wall Street, and the largest U.S. trading partners signaled hope that the trade war would not last long. And what's long? I hope it's like 6 months, but I'm afraid it's more like 18 to 24 months, just guessing. Canada and Mexico immediately vowed retaliatory measures after Trump's announcement Saturday, China that it would challenge Trump's 10% tariffs at the World Trade Organization and take unspecified countermeasures, which will hurt Americans by driving prices higher and slowing global growth. Okay, surely we can see that, okay? The EY chief economist, Greg Dayco, suggests it would reduce U.S. economic growth by 1.5 percent points this year, throw Canada and Mexico into recession, and usher in stagflation, high inflation, stagnant economic growth, and elevated unemployment at home. Okay, yeah. You know, it's like, okay, let's say you get a wart. You go to the doctor, I got a wart. We can understand it's going to cost some pain to get rid of that wart. Matter of fact, a lot of the things we do in life to help us to improve are painful, or at least initially painful. I hope you're listening to me. I don't want you to lose your life savings. I don't want to see you cleaned out. China left the door open for talks with the United States. Its sharpest pushback was over fentanyl, with good reason. And of course, you know, the fentanyl countries that are allowing the fentanyl to come in are going to say, look, you know, we can't stop it. Well, America can't stop it either, but something's got to change. So Who will suffer the most? American consumers who will face skyrocketing, remember that word skyrocket, I'm going to show you the under profit, skyrocketing prices on everything from groceries to gas to cars. Now, here is part of it. October 4th, 2012, this is from Prophet John Paul Jackson. He saw a headline, and it was, Food Prices Lead Nations Escalating Inflation Woes. There's more, a lot more. Now, I'm not going to read all of this. I've read this many, many times. I just want to jump down to the last couple of lines. This is from Shane Warren. He said, as great inflation caused an economic storm. Remember, he saw a storm. So what is it that caused the storm? Great inflation. What causes the inflation? Well, one of them is when Saudi Arabia starts selling oil, another currency other than the dollar, which started June 9th, 2024. Okay, let's go on. There's a lot more. Now let's jump to Brandon Biggs. Now, this is the guy that saw Trump shot in the ear 3 months before it happened. So that gives him a lot of credibility. So back in 2024, he had an angel visit. He says, the angel brought up $1 again to me last night and told me, I told you the purchasing power of the dollar would be around 50 cents. How many prophecies have we got that says the dollar? I could take a whole 30, maybe even 45 minutes reading the prophecies on just that the dollar is going to fall 50%. It's happening right now. That's not hard to see. Inflation is getting worse and worse. The purchasing power of the dollar is crumbling as we speak day by day by day. He said there will be, now this is important, there will be a major event that causes a significant stock market crash, and it'll send it into like a 1930s type crash. It's coming, and there will be some event that causes it. I remember my mom and dad talking about what happened. I mean, all of a sudden the stock market failed. Before long, there was no money, there was no food, and people were begging, and there were very few people that could give them any food. And that's what the prophecies say. I started to say coming, but if I'm trying to be honest about it, I'd have to say it's at the door. All right, now, yes, I know Chris Reed fell. Okay, I understand that, but this was before he fell. And this is an angel visiting him, and it lines up and confirmed by what the other people are saying. So if you want to throw it away, go ahead. But I think it's valuable, so I'm going to read it. I saw a man holding a $50 bill. I believe it represented the 50 United States of America. He tore the $50 bill in 3 stages. Each time he tore the $50 bill, someone gave me a newspaper with headlines. The first thing he did was tear off a third of the bill. The headline read, dollar drops 30% in value. We could see that by the end of February. We could. Again, Trump doesn't control our dollars. The Federal Reserve does. The international bankers, the 12 banking families, they are the ones that control it. They hate Trump. I believe they tried to kill him. The first thing he did was tear off a third of the bill. The headline read, dollar drops 30% in value. The subtitle was, Middle East oil strikes deal with China instead of the U.S. That happened June 9th, 2024. It's at the door. Matter of fact, we may even be standing in the water and just don't know it. He tore off a third of the bill and the dollar dropped 30%. Then he tore the $50 bill in half. In other words, what was left, or a third. And people were troubled by the economic situations and strain. The next headline was, the perfect storm inflation, that's what we're talking about today, reaches new high. Then the next headline was, food shortage crisis as wheat and bread imports are at a stalemate. Well, why would wheat and bread imports be at a stalemate? I believe it was Brandon Biggs also prophesied that China just stopped sending anything. All boats, all shipment coming out of China. I can't say that for sure because I can't quote that was for sure him, and I've looked it up, hadn't been able to find it again. Maybe if you can find it out there, send me the link. But anyway, so Trump sets these tariffs. It could I think he's making a lot of people mad. And again, sometimes correction just brings trouble. Inflation reaches new high. The next headline was food shortage crisis as wheat and bread imports are at a stalemate. That could happen in the next few months. The next headline was riots and civil unrest as citizens demand entitlement checks. That's exactly what Shane Warren said. Give us our entitlements. Same words, even. We better listen. Let's go on. For the first time, he tore a third. The second time, he tore that two-thirds in half, meaning another two-thirds. It was basically a $50 bill torn in thirds. The next headline was Israelis and Palestinians reach a two-state solution. Now, Trump just said, well, maybe we could get the Gazans to move down into Egypt. And just today, appearing at HowTurnedRadioShow.com, Egypt has now moved a lot of tanks onto the Egypt-Gaza border at Rafah. In other words, they're saying, no, you're not going to send those Palestinians into Egypt. Okay, so since Trump is kind of a peacemaker, it makes sense to me that he's going to say, oh, that won't work, then we're going to have to split Israel, and thus he splits America. Now, he doesn't do it, of course, but he does it indirectly. And sometimes a good person can make a bad decision, and I'm afraid that's what Trump's about to do. So anybody got the ear of Donald Trump, you better tell him, do not split Israel. Do not do it. When I saw the second headline, I felt major earthquake under the middle of the United States. An earthquake happened under my feet. The next headline read, major earthquake hits the middle of the U.S. That's straight out of Leslie's prophecy. Exactly in the same order, because she saw Omar ushers in Palestinian state, boom, and catastrophe hits America was second, which I've been saying we believe is the earthquake. So, you can get mad at Chris, but in this particular prophecy, I believe an angel did come to visit him and has showed us the future. And let me also say, don't get fear. Don't get fear. Instead, just get ready, okay? Let's go on. When America went along with dividing Israel, God allowed the earthquake to literally come right down the middle, dividing the United States, just as we got 12 people that seen the same thing. I saw an earthquake hit the center of the United States. It was a response from God to America supporting a two-state solution. Split my land, and I'll split yours. Let's go on. The third time he tore it into a bunch of little bitty pieces. He was tearing it, showing division among the states. I feel like it's going to come from people coming across the southern border. In other words, these illegals that came up. Some are looking for a better life, but some cause an outrage among the American people. They won't want to be under the federal government as is. They don't like Trump. They don't want to be controlled. They want to live the way they want to live, which is why they left their country and are coming into ours. They don't want to become Americans. They just want to get the money that Americans have. They want to live their life the way they lived, without Jesus. And it's going to require great reform economically and socially to our nation. Then I saw something like a $1 bill. This is important. But it was like a cell phone. Remember, I've told you there was an 11-year-old boy that saw this, and I'm about to read it again. But it was like a cell phone, like a $1 bill. I knew it was a cell phone, and the headline read, a new currency for a renewed nation. I told you, your cell phone is not your friend. Simplicity restored as Americans grow their own food again. And that's straight out of what I think it was Shane Warren saw the same thing. And also David Phillips. It was like after a shaking will bring about a united nation again with a new currency. Terry Bennett was told at least one, I'm going to show you, at least one new currency. I saw a conflict in the South China Sea. China would militarily attack Taiwan, and that America would pray, that we need to pray for the U.S. Navy because America is going to be right in the middle of it. Now, here's a wealth transfer from the wicked to the just. Shane Warren said, I saw God prospering greatly, many acquiring things, and a great transfer of wealth coming into the hands of believers. There will be a change in the U.S. currency, said Terry Bennett. A different currency is going to come, at least one. That will entail us no longer being the reserve currency of the world. It's going to be a world currency, a digital currency. How many, I don't know, 12, 14, 16 people said that? 800, 200 gold. Look, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost you anything. Call them. call them and say, here's my situation. I'm out, okay. And if they say, yeah, you're okay, then great. If they say, no, you're in trouble, better listen. Now let's talk about a new digital checkbook. All right, so this is the 11-year-old child, and this is one of the members of our congregation. He's been through Leslie's School of the Prophets. And by the way, he called me. He says, okay, we quizzed him for actually several hours, back and forth, back and forth. And his story never changed. He said, no, this is what I saw. I didn't see that. And they specifically tried to get him off of it to see if he was just cooking up some kind of story. And they said, no, we both believe him. In the dream, I was over at my grandfather's house, and he wakes and has a T-shirt on that says, cash is king. I think he's saying, get your money out of paper. Grandpa's favorite saying, in the dream, I sensed that the dollar bill crashed and was no good anymore. The dream cuts to people walking on the street with nice clothes on, but somehow I knew, money-wise, they were poor. Somehow I knew this was a depression. What did they just say? He just said it'll happen in one day. Was a depression like in the history books, only people had nice clothes on instead of old clothes. In other words, one day everything's fine, the next day it's not fine. I saw in people's hands an electronic device about the size of a cell phone. It didn't. He says if you turn it sideways, it was a checkbook, but it was all digital. I have never seen anything like it. It was like an iPad and a cell phone mixed together, but it was not a cell phone. You couldn't play games or you couldn't make a phone call on it. We've been talking about this. It was strictly for currency, and you could buy anything if you had enough of this digital currency, but you could not sell anything. Well, we know it's going to eventually buy and sell, right? Okay. Not everyone had equal amounts of this new currency. Only people like President Biden or Elon Musk, very, very famous people, had a lot of this new digital currency. Only a few of your average people had very little. Just enough digital currency to buy basics for one day of their lives. The rest of the people had no digital currency, but still had the digital checkbook, but with nothing in it. Remember, Revelation 6 says a measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny. See, thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Now, this is the rest of the dream, which I'm not going to cover. You can pause and read it if you want to. But it's not exactly on target with what we're talking about. It's not on topic, so I'm going to move on. Now, this is, again, Brandon. And he says, the Lord showed me an American flag. The flag transformed into a $100. I want you to look at $100 and digital. Look at $100 and digital. Transformed into a $100 bill waving in the wind. Suddenly, it transformed into a digital code. What's it saying? It's saying that our current financial system, based upon the dollar, is going to change to a digital system, and I can show you at least 2 or 3 other prophecies that have seen the same thing. Into a digital code, almost like a crypto code. It was moving like it was alive. It was like internet math code. It kept moving and moving, and I said, Lord, what is this? And the Lord said, the dollar is about to turn into a digital dollar. I'll say it again. The dollar is about to turn into a digital dollar. I'll say it again. The dollar is about to turn into a digital dollar. Why? So that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. He said it would be worth half what it is right now. What does that mean? That means everything costs twice as much. But the problem is, probably they don't also increase our salaries or whatever income. So a $100 bill will be worth $50. Then he showed me the banks went all bankrupt. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. We're warning you. All the money that was in the banks, whether you were rich or poor, the banks seized it all. Oh, they can't do that. Oh, well, actually, yes, they can. They've sent us by email. They've sent us texts. You probably got it from your banks too, and it'll say that our policy has changed. And please okay the change in order to keep your account. If you don't okay it, then you have to close your account. And one of the things, someone did the deep dive and researched on what exactly the changes said. Guess what they said? They said that the banks have the authority to seize all of the money in your account. Not kidding. Not joking. All the money that was in the banks, whether you were rich or poor, the banks seized it all. All the money in the banks was seized. It was now the property of the bank. I don't know how much, but somehow they seized all the money in the banks. People lost it all. That's going into the new global currency, digital currency. Loans that you had made in your house and your cars and everything. I saw that they took all of it. They called it a debt jubilee because they couldn't foreclose and take everybody's houses and everybody's cars because the dollar crashed. So they just wiped it all out and created a whole new digital system, a digital platform. That is what prophecy is saying, indirectly, right? They created a new digital dollar based upon your friend, the cell phone. Oh, it won't be a cell phone, but it'll be about the same size. Then the Lord showed me lines of people standing at the Target stores, tried to get food. They weren't dressed like they were in poverty-looking clothes. That's the same thing the 11-year-old kid said. They still had nice clothes on, but it was like the money had just left suddenly. It was like it happened overnight. People were in lines at Target and Walmart. Lines were like a mile long. There was no products and there was no food there, but they were in line. There was hardly anything left in any of the stores. Oh, surely, come on, get real. This will never happen. I hope. People were waiting just to get whatever they could. I could see them all in a single file line that stretched out forever. He showed me certain cryptocurrencies that would go up in value. He showed me that certain things that would happen with gold and with silver. Well, now, Shane Warren was told that by the audible voice, he said silver will skyrocket far more than gold, meaning they both go up. Right now is probably the best time to get gold or silver, and you can get your IRA, your 401k, 800, 200 gold. Let them tell you about it. He showed me the euro. The euro would be in trouble because of what was going on with Europe and this Ukraine war. It was all going to happen like dominoes, falling one after another. Now let's jump to David Phillips. Only part of the dream. I had a dream that my family went on a vacation. Rampant inflation had started. It was like we were living in the Old West. One person was selling Ritz crackers for individual crackers for $1,000 a cracker. The main thing that people wanted, food. People had no money. They were bartering for food. JosephKitchen.com. JosephsKitchen.com. People would steal anything they could get their hands on, even out in the open, and were willing to risk extreme danger for it. The single most important item everybody wanted was food, especially non-refrigerated foods. Oh, there's more. Remember Dana Coverstone? That's another thing. You know, a lot of these dreams and visions, like Dana was getting a dream about every 2 or 3 weeks. When's the last time he got one? There's a whole lot. It's like all of a sudden, a lot of the dreams and visions that God was speaking have just stopped. Now, to me, I take that as the warnings have stopped. The judgment is now about to arrive. In other words, I already warned you. I've warned you. I've warned you. I've warned you. It's time for the warnings to end. It's time for the judgment. It's time for the warnings to arrive now. So I walked into a bank to get some change. On the door, it says the sign, there's no change available. Change, as in coins. The president of the local bank was at the teller station, and I said, I need to get $10 in quarters. And she said, I'm sorry, but the U.S. Mint is no longer making currency or coins. Are you listening? Why would it not be making currency or coins anymore? I'll tell you why. Because it's gone to your cell phone. U.S. Mint is no longer making currency or coins. And I said, well, how am I going to be able to charge $1.50 for anything? She said, well, prepare for hyperinflation. Hope you're listening. Prepare for hyperinflation and just charge $2. And she went on to say $1 and $5 will follow soon after that. In other words, right to start with, they weren't making coins anymore. And then soon, the $1 and the $5 bills, in other words, paper currency, what it's saying is coins go first. But shortly after that, paper currency goes. Why? Because we're all going digital. Are you seeing it? Then I heard, brace yourself, brace yourself. brace yourself. And I think when I hear brace yourself, I think it's saying, don't quit. Don't quit Jesus. Don't take that mark. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be harder than you could possibly imagine. Frankly, most of us probably will give our head for Jesus, and that's a good thing. Now, this doesn't exactly relate, but I want you to see that the red horse is riding. Mexican cartels preparing for war with U.S. military. Cartels inside Mexico, which handle illicit drug smuggling and illicit human trafficking, are openly preparing for what they call for war with the United States military. In a video released by the cartels, dozens of heavily armed, significantly equipped cartel soldiers, they say, are ready to do battle against the armed forces of the United States to protect their drug and human smuggling operations. All right, now, what was Dmitry told? Fall of America would start with an internal revolution in America, started by the communists, these guys. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. So we've already been told it's a lot of people inside America, but this is all told. And also, he said, and God is Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, Mexico would be part of the nations that attack us. There it is. There it is. Now, let me jump back to John Paul Jackson. Here were some other headlines he was given. Decay in America is the infrastructure of America beyond repair. Washington, D.C. riots continue. Chicago up in arms. Death toll mounts. Record set for number of cities with riot curfews. Martial law to be extended for 30 more days. City tunnels closed after bombs. Some of the people start fighting against the government. New Year's terror, out with the new, in with the old. So what I'm trying to say, brothers and sisters, get yourself ready. Ask Jesus into your heart and ask the Lord to show you what you need to do to get prepared. Nobody really knows, but Jesus does. I'd recommend you get Potassium Iodide at prophecyclub.com. When a nuclear device is detonated, the wind blows the dust, and it's like fine dust. It's like powder. And it settles on everything. You breathe, eat, or absorb radioactive iodine. You pretty much can't avoid it, which kills your thyroid, killing you. But a simple fix is to simply take potassium iodide pills, which then floods your thyroid with good iodine, keeping the radioactive iodine out. You need 1 bottle per person per exposure for everyone from infant to adult, available. 10 bottles for gift at $150, which is what I recommend, or $20 a bottle at prophecyclub.com. Shelf life 5 to 8 years, potentially more if you refrigerate it, or even more if you freeze it. Potassium iodide pills, prophecyclub.com. Right now we have them in stock, but so many people are ordering them, you may have to wait a while to get them.